Hello guys, welcome back to another hangout. This is becoming a common thing. I'm just going to address some of the moon tracking stuff. I've had some quite good feedback. It's been great. I've had people in Australia filming the moon. I've had people in Norway filming the moon. I've had people in Britain filming the moon, which is good because I couldn't film the moon in Scotland. It was just too cloudy. It was just in and out, in and out. So we'll just look at some of that footage and compare it, because I think this is the best thing to do, guys. We've got to come to this agreement that we don't really trust the government anymore, like NASA and stuff like that. People don't trust the government. Maybe they're telling a lot of truths, the governments and establishments, but people have lost trust in them. And for whatever reasons, they've lost trust in them. So we look at the flat earth and look at the alternative stuff, but we've lost trust in them because they can't provide anything either. So guys, I think this is like a renaissance, like independence. Like we can all do our own independent research. I don't want to do a moon tracker where I have a live hangout and have it for 24 hours, 48 hours watching the moon. I don't want that. I want people to start doing their own footage, posting it on their channel. I'll go to their channel and I'll use any footage I can to help our hypothesis, if it's flat, if it's round, if it's whatever. But I think the moon's important, and a lot of flat earthers just avoid it. Look at Antonio right now. He's getting so wrapped up with this sun thing, and he's showing this video of a sun lamp, a skyline, and I don't get it though, because there's paintings. It looks like a gallery or something. And when I go into galleries, they usually try and keep as much natural light out the room. So I don't know what kind of lumens come off this skyline. I wouldn't have pictures or stuff exposed to it if it is real sunlight. You can get bulbs that generate the full spectrum, and they use them for agriculture, because plants need red spectrum, the blue spectrum for vegetation. They need like all the different spectrums through different growing periods. So this is why I'm doing this, guys. I'm doing this just as independent, like for us to come together and share our footage, compare it. Nothing to do with NASA, nothing to do with the government, nothing to do with these flat earthers, these top flat earthers, Jeranism, Globebusters, all these people. It's time, guys, we just put these people aside and done our own research and came together and compare, and we can form a hypothesis. We can gather some evidence. It might not be solid proof, guys. It might not be solid proof, but it might be enough for you to think more one way than the other. Because a lot of people, I've had in my last video, I've got it quite tight actually. It's had much more thumbs down than thumbs up. But this is what happens in flat earth. You try and do, when you actually start trying to do something, people don't like it. People prefer if you just sit there and talk about the drama. And when you do start trying to do independent experiments and stuff like that, and observations, because that's all it is, guys. I don't want you to go for a physics degree. I just want you to use your own observations, use the equipment. Because this is the beauty about 2017, guys. We've all got this fancy tech lying around our houses. We don't even know, use them half the time. Like we just put on auto and take a photograph, but we should start learning how to use this equipment properly and taking decent star shots and decent moon shots. And we'll probably find out more about our Earth through the stars and the moon than the sun, because the sun's so powerful and the glare, and it's just east, west, east, west. It's the same. It's the same. But with the moon, you can actually read the moon's features. You can see that main crater, that one. It looks like it's splattered across the moon. It's got the lines coming out of it. You can see all these features on the moon, prominent features, and you can follow them. And you can tell if the disk, sphere, whatever it is, projection is flipped upside down or the other way around, because you can see the features on the face of the moon. You can't do that with the sun. You can see sometimes hot spots on the sun. Black spots, that's where coronal mass ejections come out of, so-called coronal mass ejections, CMEs. But you can't really read the sun as well as the moon. And when I was looking at Marvin Sans images again, amazing. It's like it's the total opposite from us, the total opposite. The shadows on the other side, the light sources on the other side, but the moon still looks the same size. That's another thing that we need to understand here, guys. There's so many people. This is what's happened. 2 years of flat Earth, and people are still arguing about what the moon is. If I say it's a disc, I use this for a joke, only because the top flat earther, like journalism, Globebusters, Bob, they'll say it's a disc. They keep using the analogy, draw a smiley face. Draw a smiley face on a piece of paper and walk around the room, or put it on the floor and walk around the room. That's how the moon works. And I've heard lots of flat earthers use this analogy. And I think even Eric Dubay might say it's a disc. The top people in flat earth don't say it's a rock. That's what you need to start realizing here. Like Mark Sargent probably says it's a computer game program. It's up there. Holographic computer game. Globebusters will say it's a disc. Eric Dubay will say it's a disc as well. Some people say it's projections, light. But none of them really say it's rock. It could be actual terra firma that's stuck up there. Whether it's stuck in some kind of dome, whether it's held with gravity, we're not sure. But if you look closely at the moon, you can see craters, the shadows. You can tell it's a solid object. We don't know if it's rock, or it could be material we don't know. But it is something. It's a solid 3D object. It's not a disc. It's not light projection. If it was a projection, if it was projecting its own light, if the moon, I even made another one, if the moon projected its own light, how can you get a shadow on it? Light sources don't have shadows on it. You can't. So you need to throw that out the window, that the moon produces its own light source. That's rubbish. That's more rubbish, because you can't have a shadow on something that produces its own light source. Like via the torch, you couldn't have a shadow inside the light source. It's impossible. So the moon can't be a light source. And this is a problem I've had in the comments, because we can't even agree on what the moon is at all. So people have got all their own different theories of what it is. So I'm just using my own observations. And if people want to come along this journey with me, fair enough. If they can agree it's a 3D object in space, that's fair enough, because that's what I think. I think that's a 3D object in space. And that brings about a lot of new, questions that the Globebusters don't like answering. Like, well, why is it in space? Gravity. Well, they say gravity doesn't exist, so what holds it? Is it electromagnetic? Is it? We don't know. It's just, you'll hardly hear any of them saying it's a rock, it's a 3D object, because then they have to explain a lot more. It's so easy just to say it's a light. It's just a hologram. That's just a get out of jail card. It is. And the amount of comments I read, and people still don't understand phases and lunar eclipses and the shadow they produce. People say, when you look at these moon phases like last night, well, how can the Earth produce that shadow? It's like the Earth's not producing that shadow. It's the direction of the light it's got a shadow, because there's not light on the back side of it. The light's coming from the front side. So that's why that side's lit up. It's nothing to do with the Earth's shadow. Lunar eclipse, that's a different story. But you can see it's a different kind of shadow as well, because the moon's closer to the Earth during a lunar eclipse than the sun is to the Earth during phases. You can see the different kind of shadow. It's even a different shadow on a lunar eclipse. It's more fuzzier. You can see with the phases, the shadow's quite sharp. In a lunar eclipse, the shadow's quite fuzzy. I think it's called a penumbra. It's an umbra and a penumbra, but the penumbra is fuzzy. So you can just see the moon just sort of fuzzing out before it goes properly black. Because the shadows, it's a different type of shadow. But I could show you a few. Like I said, I've got a light here. I'm not saying this is a scientific experiment, but I'll just show you the difference. You could easily show you the difference between phases and lunar eclipses just with these two balls and a light source. I could show you the difference between a lunar eclipse and the phases, and that's what a lot of people are still bothered about. I still see people making videos of, oh, the moon's out during the day. The moon's out during the day. It's done that for thousands of years. It's not. It's only because the moon goes around the Earth. Once I think it's a month, 28 days, something like that. So you're going to see at times the moon in the sky during the day. That's just what it's not. It's not unusual to see the moon in the sky during the day. People think it's unusual they see the moon in the sky during the day with a shadow on the moon and the sun's over in the west, because they think that the shadow is the Earth's shadow when it's not. It's not the Earth's shadow. It's just the direction of the light. And once you understand that, a lot of things start making sense after that. Like, it's not such a, ooh, what could it be? But you find that the top flat earthers don't want to explain these things. They don't want to go near the moon. They don't want to go near it. They don't really want to talk about lunar eclipses. I'd like to hear Bob or somebody like that. But that's the thing. That's another thing. When you do ask them about lunar eclipses, Bob, etc., or even Eric Dubé, they'll tell you Rahu. Rahu. These are the top guys that have wrote books. They do shows every day. So people in my comments are asking me questions I could easily answer. I could easily answer them. But why waste my time? Because I've answered them over and over again. I've made videos. I don't know why I have to keep answering the same questions. And the top guys in Flat Earth, their best answer is Rahu, an imaginary black sun in the sky. So if their best answer is that, what makes you guys think you can come out with something better? Because it's not. It's not, because they've went through everything. The top flat earthers have went through every and the best thing they can do is make up stuff like Rahu, which there's no proof or no evidence. There's no observable evidence. Like now, guys, like we're going to look at some videos of some footage, and it's observable evidence. It's maybe not proof, but if you collect enough evidence, compare it, you can come to some kind of hypothesis. And like I said, it doesn't mean the Earth's a globe or the Earth's flat, or it's just something to do than bickering in Flat Earth. We're sick of bickering about shit. Let's get real, guys. I enjoyed it at first. I was one of the main instigators of a lot of the shit. I enjoyed it. I was throwing coals in the fire, but it was to the science and to the philosophy and to the ideology of Flat Earth. It wasn't to the personal stuff like this. It's all getting a bit too weird now and cringy. Like I said, I was watching a hangout a couple of nights ago, and I was really, really cringing, and I was wishing, guys, that Flat Earth would go back to doing stuff like observing, because no one has to be a genius to observe stuff and record it on their camera or take a photo. No one has to be a genius to do this. And if everybody can do it around the world, we can maybe get an idea what's going on up there. Instead of this sun tracking shit was a total disaster. And what we could do at the end of the month, after we've collected lots of footage, guys, we could put it all together in a hangout. We could watch it all, put it all together, and compare it to the mainstream answer to what would happen. And if it matches what general science is saying would happen, well, we're living on a globe. But if it doesn't match what general science is saying, what we're seeing, if it doesn't match, well, then there's more answers. There's more answers to be found. Is the Earth flat? But it really hit me, guys. It really hit me, and it was like about a month ago when my friend went to the Emirates. And I minded there was a crescent moon. I can't remember what way it was, but the moon was out, and I was talking about the moon. And he said when he looked at the moon at the same time, when I was looking at the moon, it was all you. And that just got me thinking. I was like, I know it could look different on a flat plane and stuff like that, but the face would change, and like the face would dramatically change on the moon. That's the thing. The features on the moon would change. Um, there's more to be found in the moon, and I prefer if everybody chipped in instead of having an opinion on my comments, when really they can maybe make their own video and tell me why I'm wrong and show me if it's a hologram, or show me if it's got its own light source, or show me why you think that's not a rock in space. Or because I'm just trying to help guys as well. I'm curious, and I just think it's crazy when I see Marvin Sans pictures. It's like my photo, but and I'm like it's flipped upside down and the other way around. And when you stick that to the ceiling, create a crescent on it, the only way you can get the same view as what Marvin Sans has seen it is by turning your head upside down or standing on the other side of the ball. But then you've got a different face altogether. There's a different face if you're on the other side. You can get the same shadow if you stand on the other side, but then the face changes. So you can look at it. I'll show you later, but it's just annoying me sometimes when I read the comments, and it's like people have saying they've been in the flat earth for 2 years, and it's like they've not even looked over the basic stuff. They've it's maybe not their fault. It's just the way the top flat earthers detour people's minds, thinking about trees or mountains and fucking all this crap, giants and the Mandela effect and all this rubbish. Even quantum physics. There's no point dragging quantum physics into flat Earth at the end of the day. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming tonight, and I'll have a wee look at chat, and then we'll have a wee look at the footage that was captured. Right, so we have Trackmatic, that's a new name. Music Man is in the house. Vancouver, BC's in the house. Flight of British. Muscle Car Rock Lover. Cheech. Reptilian Overlord. Muscle Car Rock Lover. J39. Reptilian Overlord. Oh, they're just talking. Right. Eli Ohio is in the house. Music Man, if we stuck to the moon as used previously to synchronize our time, things would be better. Aye, I think a lot of our focus has been taken off the moon. Maybe it's this whole sun worship shit. Schlominger, I shot the full moon November the 14th, 2016 here in Bavaria, and an Argentinian guy shot him at the same time. We saw the same picture, just about 80 degrees different, like shifted clock face. So you were here in Bavaria. Is that Germany or something? Flat testicles don't make sense. You're all shells. Sorry, but his videos are funny. David Weiss is clueless. Wee! Flat Earth British. Filtered. Yay! Tricks. Neg. Yo, mate. Negator. Howdy. Jet. David Weiss is dishonest. Look at his sun experiment in his kitchen. Music Man. 13 28-day phases. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. So, guys, I'm going to screen share some stuff, but I'm going to do a wee demonstration for, what's his name? I think it's David Blackson. He's maybe not even in, but he's made a few videos kind of addressing me, and I should explain certain things. So I'm going to do it just as quick as I can for the guy. I could get out my 3D program, but it takes forever to load up and stuff like that. So actually, I'm not sure if I've got my 3D program on my new Mac. I don't think I've used it on it. So Right, screen share. And I want to thank Marvin Sans. He actually even titled this GSM, Moon Observations, Melbourne, Australia. That's Jed Skeptic Media. He was addressing it to. As you can see here, guys, this was at 9:50 on the 4th of January in Melbourne, Australia. You can see he's got a good, very good camera. You can see that shimmer, that sort of shimmer. But look at those craters, guys. Look at the shadow, look at the light inside those craters. For people to say that's how can this be self-luminescent? How can this produce its own light? Look at the shadow. How can this be producing its own light if this side's shadowed? Right down a sort of Terminator line. I don't get that. I don't get how people say it projects its own light. Especially when you see, look at that crater. Look at the light inside the crater in the shadow. It's obvious this is a large piece of rock. We don't know exactly what type of rock, but it's definitely a large piece of rock. Look at those two craters down there. It gets even closer. Look at these. Look at this. You can even see it in the edge, it's bumpy. That's great footage, Marvin. You done well, son. Look at those ones, man. Look at that. Come on. You can see that's indentation. You can see that's the shadow inside it. And this is Marvin Sans. He's no working for NASA. He's no government, and he's not a top flat earther. This is independent, guys. This is all just independent. We're just looking at our stuff. Amazing though. Amazing image. And why did we ever stop looking at the moon? It's a projection. Is it? Hell, no way is that projection, guys. No way. That's kind of the end of the video. It just zooms out. But I'll take it back. I'll take it back to where we can see it. Nice and clear. Right. So thanks, Marvin. You can see here it's probably about, I'd call this about halfway between 11 and 12 o'clock. And down here, probably about halfway between 5 and 6. Just the angle if I was to put a line. But great footage for Marvin. Great footage. So subscribe to Marvin if you want some good footage. And same again, guys, you just can go to Marvin's channel, look at his videos, and look at the next channel I'm going to look at. I'm sure Marvin won't mind you downloading it or using it to make your own videos and have your own theories and hypotheses, guys. Because I think Flat Earth has got off track and we're sitting talking shite in sheds and shit like that, just and talking about suicide. And I've heard a lot of miserable stuff. I think Flat Earthers should get back on track with something. Right, so this is Jan. She made a video in Norway, January the 4th, 2017, 9:50. This was 9:50 in Australia, and this was 9:50 in Norway. How cool is that, guys? How cool is that? And why would they lie? Why would they lie? So subscribe to Jan, people. Minus 21 outside. That's what you call dedication. Minus 21. Marvin would have been all right. It's somewhere over there. But I was just looking at these. Amazing, amazing videos. I might have to mute this, Jan, just for copyright purposes. I think Jan's got the P900 as well, the Nikon P900. They get there in the end. There we go, there we go. There we go, look at that. Yeah, ha ha. Sometimes it takes some skill to keep the camera steady when you're zoomed in, guys. It's not as easy as it looks. Wow. Same again, craters. Wow. But you need to keep an eye on the features, guys. Someone's sending me emails. Oh shit. Right, I'm not screen sharing. Sorry guys. Sorry guys. Right. Right, I'll just start again. I'll start again. Thanks, Laurie, for the email. Thank you. Right, I'll go back to... Shit. Right, guys. I'll go back to Marvin Sans one. Just play it from when he gets it focused. Right. So you heard me commentating over nothing there, guys. So here's Marvin Sans footage. Look at that, guys. Look at that. That's beautiful. This is Melbourne, Australia, the 4th of January 2017 at 9:50 p.m. GSM, moon observation. See, Jed Skeptic Media, sending it to me, guys. That's brilliant. Brilliant stuff, guys. Cheers, Marvin, again. You can see, look at the craters, guys. Look at that. This shadow in the craters. That must be solid. That must be a solid object. You see here, guys, look at these two craters. See where the light comes in and it casts the shadow? You can see how deep they are. Just from looking at the shadow. How deep. And like I said, how could these things produce their own light? How could this produce its own light? Look how dark that is. There's a Terminator line. Does it just decide when it's going to produce its own light and when it doesn't? It doesn't make sense that it should be producing its own light. Silly. Because the side of the moon that always faces the sun is the one that's lit. The side that faces the sun is never in shade. It's always lit. The other side's in shade. But you can see here, guys, he zooms out for here, but beautiful picture. But you can sort of look at the features. You can see, like I said before, this is probably about halfway between 11 and 12 on a clock, I'd say. This was a clock. I'd say the point, the top of it, is probably between 11 and 12, and the bottom's probably about 5, just after 5. Between 5 and 6. Beautiful image. Thanks a lot, Marvin. Like I said, good stuff. Brilliant stuff. And you can see here, you can see the certain features that will match to the Norwegian one. Right, Jan's one gets a bit blurry at first. There you go. Thanks a lot, Jan. Jan's got the P900. Look at that. That ain't a projection. That ain't just a light. That's a piece of rock up there, guys. It's a 3D object in space. There's no doubt that is a 3D object in space. It has to be. So adjust the exposure a wee bit. Exposure gets better. But then we'll look at them. Oh, look where she lives. Oh, he. Jan, I'm not sure if you're a he or she because you can have Jans, male Jans as well. Oh, someone's still got their Christmas tree up. Terrible, eh? Terrible. But that's all I want, guys. Exactly what Jan and exactly what Marvin Sans done. Just the place, the date, the time. That's all we need. And if we can trust each other, Ken, we're not going to get some idiot trying to give us a stupid picture, image. Right. So we'll look at. You can see because Jan's in Norway, there's more of a. Because, where is it? You can see this is Justin Sherwood's one. You can see there's more of a tilt, but we're still, because Norway and Britain are still in the northern hemisphere, we're still seeing the same features. See this large sort of, I think it's maybe like an old crater and it's filled up with lava, they say. I think they say that like this was like a impact and then it filled up with lava or something like that. But anyway, look at this part. You can see it's down there on that side. It's up the two craters. It's just flipped the other way. I'll try and I'll compare these two because they're both the similar colour. But look at that. There's a wee bit more detail in the two craters there. See those two craters? That's not the same. That's up here. And this one. That's the craters up here. So they're upside down. You see it's upside down. Upside down and back to front. So how do you achieve this on a flat earth? Because I tried this in my house. And although you can stick a ball to your ceiling and you can put one light source and you can achieve the same, you can look where the shade is. The shade is on the left hand side in Norway and the sunlight's on the right hand side. And in Australia, the sun is on the left hand side and the shade is on the right. So guys, and this shadow has nothing to do with the Earth. This is directional light. Venus, it was a bit cloudy, I think, the night, Justin. So like you can see here, you've got this large impact crater with two small ones above it. Well, no small, they're quite large actually, but and like you can see in Australia, it's the other way around. There's a large impact crater, the two craters at the bottom. And this can't work on a disk, guys. Like I showed, people said, what, do you think we think it's a disk? Well, a lot of people do say it's a disk. And it can't be a disk because a disk would become elliptical. It wouldn't be a circle. Also, if they say the moon travels the way the sun does on a flat Earth, think about the flat Earth model you see most times. It's like that flat model with the sun and the moon. How high? 3,000 miles above? Something like that. And they're both circling above. You would see all sides of the moon. You would see all sides. You only see one face. When I'm looking at the moon and Marvin's looking at the moon, we're seeing the same face. We're seeing different shade, but we're seeing the same face. Different angle of shade. That's because we're upside down. Crazy, eh? Because if you were to create, you could create this same shade, and you could stick a ball to your ceiling, guys, and have light coming from one side in your room, and you could look at it, and you could get the shade on the left-hand side and the light on the right-hand side, but you could go under the ball on the other side, and you would see the same as what Marvin's seen. Light on the left-hand side and shade on the right, but the face would completely change on a flat Earth. It would be a totally different face. You wouldn't see these exact same features. The face would change. Although you could make the shade work by going on the other side of the plane, you could walk underneath the moon and walk on the opposite side of the plane for the shade to jump on the other side in your perspective, but the face would completely change. You'd have a completely different face, and we all see the same face. We all see the same face, the same features, the exact same features, and the moon looks the same size. And just like the way the moon sets just like the sun. It comes up at the east and sets in the west. It follows the same pattern. Why doesn't the moon shrink into a ball? Just like the sun. It's easier to look at the moon, in fact, with this perspective stuff, because like flat earthers say, and David Weiss, he's shown a video of the sun turning into a tiny little dot going into the distance. And this is how they explain the sun. It doesn't actually set, it just vanishes into the distance on the flat plane. Well, why doesn't the moon do the same thing? We can see the moon without any glare setting. Why doesn't the moon shrink into the distance? Or when it's rising, why isn't it small when it rises? Gets big at 12 o'clock, it's biggest, it's fullest, and then turn tiny into the distance if we're living on a flat earth, guys. Come on. We could apply the same, because the way they say the moon's traveling the same way. They say the moon and the sun are exactly the same size as each other. And they say it's spiraling above our heads at 3,000 miles or something. Right, well, if that's the case, you need everything that applies to the sun applies to the moon as well on a flat earth. Like perspective. The moon should be shrinking into a tiny ball into the west, just like the sun. On a flat earth model it is. But that's why they'll say it's a projection. That's why they'll say Rahu. That's why they'll just make stuff up, guys. You really need to start looking into this, people. Because I think this could be something that the flat earthers are deliberately know what to talk about. Because it's quite a, I wouldn't say it's proof, But it's evidence, guys. It's evidence. I'm not saying it's proof that we live in a ball. I'm not saying it's proof. All I'm saying is it's evidence that we live in a ball. It's more evidence than what some guy in a shed is producing. If we can all just put our heads together, and we can use like stellarium and things like that to try and track, and we can compare it. And if it works, if this is what the mainstream science is saying, well, but if it's not, well, we're maybe living on a flat plane. But by the looks of it, this is what the mainstream science is saying. How the moon phases work on a globe, and not on a flat Earth. It doesn't make sense on a flat Earth, guys. It doesn't. And that's why they'll make up things like Rahu. That's why they'll make up stuff like fucking projections and light. If we can all agree that this object up there is a piece of land. This is a piece of rock. Maybe we've not landed on it. I'm not saying that we've landed on it, guys. I'm still not sure about all that moon landing stuff. But we need to come to some kind of agreement that this could be a 3D object in space up there. Not a projection and not a light. I'll have a wee look at the chat, see who's in. Frankie Max. That's a new name. Right, we'll start with Schlumming. Tom Fugler is a nice one. I just finished editing a new video. It's worth a few laughs. Flat Earth, Wiki, Mark Knight, NASA Goddard Space Center, soundboard, prank calls. Right, check out Tom Fleury's new video. I watched his last one. It was Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster! The sun doesn't shine if there's no cookies. Good to see you all in, guys. Nice one. It's getting quite busy. Right, Schlongmer. If the moon would be a real sphere-like object, the Argentinian or me had seen the different and not the same face. Someone should have seen the same. Should have seen the backside. Well, that's the thing about this ball, this moon they've got floating over a flat Earth, that people in Australia would see the back of it, and we all know we only see we always see the same face. It doesn't make sense, really. And if we were just seeing the bottom of it all the time, a bottom of a ball, well, how does it get lit up? How do the phases happen from the sun if it's lit from the bottom? Well, like I said, guys, when this is a video, you can leave a comment, say that you're going to make a video or do some of your own observations. I'll subscribe to you guys. I'll subscribe to your channel. I'll keep an eye out for any videos coming out, and I'll look at them. We can all look at them, and it might prove flat Earth, guys. It might prove it, but I might know. And by the way I'm looking right now, the evidence is showing that Marvin is upside down. Marvin is upside down. And that's another thing. Like if the top flat earthers admit that is a ball up there, and that gravity could be holding it up there, or orbital mechanics involving gravity, well, that kind of shits in the cornflakes for them as well, because then they have to accept that maybe gravity is real. Maybe we don't fully understand gravity, but it could be like a magnetic force pulling us to the ground or whatever, but they don't really talk about our magnetosphere. Like the Earth has a magnetosphere, and the sun has there's like the solar weather coming from the sun. That's how we get northern lights, guys. That's how northern lights happened. Charged particles in the atmosphere create the northern lights. They come through the northern part of the magnetosphere. But flat Earth never really talk about stuff like that. It's flat Earth that keep us in the prison. They don't want to think outside that little fucking model they've made, because that's a prison. That model, the flat Earth have made a prison. That flat Earth model is a prison because everything's inside it, and we're stuck inside it. Maybe we can't travel through space, but maybe one day we will. Maybe one day we will. Maybe they can fake going to Mars now, but maybe one day they can go there. Maybe in 100, 200 years time. Anyway, I'm getting on a ramble. Right, Frankie Max, ha ha ha. Star God, shadow or dark matter, whatever dark matter is. Nice to see you, Star Gods. Richard Clark, back, Flight of British Filtered. Hey, Star Gods. Hi, Star Gods. Robert Forrest, Laurie, search, system protest, go back 10 months. Hem is flat. Frankie Max, you know, I thought of today there is a pull down and there's a pull up in a dimension underneath, keeping things upside down. The moon here is half of the size of the moon. Cool, thanks. Cartoon Head, the world is just a great big onion. Cheech, we can, man. Oh, off that moon. Look up the ISIS and satellites amateur film out there. Well, I'd like to see some of you guys taking some of your own footage, even off your mobile phone, guys. We just want to see the crescent. We want to see the shadow of the crescent, because they'll say it's Rahu eating the moon. I've even heard them saying it's Rahu eating the moon. Rahu was a monster back in fucking Indian times or something. Chode Rock, JS Mario is here. Nice one. What's going on is in the house. We're all looking at the moon here, guys. Nice one. 43 in the house. J39, Jed, the earth is heart-shaped. Cammy said so. I actually feel sorry for Cammy. I think she's got like Stockholm syndrome or something. Because Bob's pushing that map through her. Like she was a mincer. He's mincing that map through her. And they're all trying to do this map, but they still can't even understand that maps are just 2D projections. They're just abstractions of a 3D world. Even 2D maps of the globe are wrong. They're not accurate. They're accurate to a point, but they're not. They're just abstract. They're just projections. Who else is in? Oh, it's British. Turquoise Dragon is in. Right, guys. On a flat Earth map, or a flat Earth world, different sides of the moon. You could see different sides of the moon all the time for different continents. Like in South America here, they can see the bottom and they can see the dark side of the moon in South America here. In North America, they can see the face of the moon. And where's this? Is this over in Europe, maybe? But it can't work. It just can't work. So they've got Africa, South America, North America. So this is what it would look like. If this was a flat Earth, guys, the moon would look like this in different parts. But when me and Marvin look at the moon, it's kind of just like it's just an upside down. It's just an upside down version of the moon. Crazy. So I think flat Earth are avoiding the moon, big style, guys. And the moon this month, amazing, with Venus beside it. I bet you in the Middle East, it would have looked like those bull horns I'm sure the Middle Easterns would have been going crazy over that Venus beside the bull-horned moon. It's ingrained in their culture. So this is why flat Earth don't want to say it's a solid object. They prefer just to say it's a projection or a light, because they know if it was a solid object doing this, it just can't do this, guys. It can't do this. That's what I found interesting. That's the thing, guys. Once you get into flat Earth, you find yourself lost in all these Mark Sargent and all these other other videos, and they show you these models, and everything's flying around and they just bamboozle you. They just bamboozle you, and you don't know where. Then by the end of it, they tell you it's a projection, and Rahu is eating the moon. So, and I remember when I looked at the supermoon, that blood moon. Was that a couple of years ago? Was it 2015, the blood moon? But I remember seeing the moon looking. I think the shade was like a horn. I think it was like this. My lunar eclipse was like this, and you never see the moon looking like this during a phase. Right. This is just for David Blackson, guys. Maybe there's a lot of you that already understand how phases and stuff happen, but I'm going to show a wee demonstration for David Blackson, if you're watching, mate, or maybe if you watch later. Right, guys, I'll just turn this lamp off in the background. That's a bit too bright, eh? Right, this is for David Blackson. Everyone else probably understands it already, but I find this happen quite a lot within the flat Earth, that they don't know the basic understandings before they go into the whole philosophy or anything. They don't understand the basic things, right? So I've got a lamp here, right? This can be the sun. I'm going to do Antonio Subarads. This is the sun. Looks like the sun in the camera there, eh? Ooh, the sun. Ooh, look at the green orb thing. Ooh, aliens. Right, anyway, the sun. Okay, David Blackson, you listening? So we have the sun. This can be the earth. This can be the moon. Right? So, you can see here, guys, just holding these two like that. Like, just see, this is the earth, this is the moon. Right? Both have crescents on it. See that? The shadow on the moon here isn't caused by the earth. It's because it's caused by the lack of light behind it. It's dark back here. The light's coming from this direction. So the moon phases work like that. Like the light, there's the one source of light. And if you're living on the light side and you see the moon like that, you're seeing the moon during the day. You're just living on the light side after the Terminator line. That's all phases are. That's the shadow. But lunar eclipses, that's something like, right, if I can put this is the Earth. The sun's there, Earth's there. The moon has to be directly opposite. So see, the moon's lit. It goes into the penumbra, then into the umbra, and back out again. That's a lunar eclipse. when the moon, when the Earth's blocking the sunlight from the sun, and the moon moves into the sun's shadow. And that's an eclipse. From the Earth, you see the moon go black and go light again. So that's the only time you'll see the Earth's shadow on the moon is during a lunar eclipse, not during the phases. The phases is just light. Those shadows just like that. There's a shadow on this one, there's a shadow on that one. It's not caused by the Earth. These shadows on these things aren't caused by each other. It's caused by the light. But a lunar eclipse is caused when the moon goes into the Earth's shadow. So don't listen to these people that say they've seen the sun up in the sky the same time as a lunar eclipse. That's impossible. You can't have the sun up in the sky at the same time as a lunar eclipse. The sun has to be directly on the other side of the planet. Like 180 degrees, it has to be directly behind. The Earth has to be in the middle to block the light and the shadow. The moon moves into the shadow, and that's what creates the lunar eclipse. Phases are different. The phases that you see day to day, that's nothing to do with the Earth blocking any sunlight on the moon. It's just because the moon's not facing, that side of the moon's not facing the sun. That's why it's dark. That's it. Nothing to do with the Earth. So that's just 101 stuff for David Blackson. I'm not going to start doing all start going around the sun and try to do the whole heliocentric model, but that's just a basic understanding that you can do yourself. You can sit in your room, get a torch, get a lamp, and you can practice doing lunar eclipses. Even like a solar eclipse is when, just say that's the sun, and this is the moon. A solar eclipse is when the moon passes in front of the sun and blocks the sun and moves back again. That's a solar eclipse. That's different from a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is the shadow that blocks. Like a solar eclipse is when the moon blocks the sun completely. It goes exactly in front of it. So that's when the moon's in the middle, not the Earth. The Earth's in the middle during a lunar eclipse. The Earth's in the middle, the sun's out there, and the moon's out there. During a solar eclipse, again, the moon's in the middle. So that's it, guys. So if you can just think about those basics, the basic understanding of light and shadow as well, light and shadow, and then you look at the craters on the moon. You take that understanding to the craters as well, and you're like, yeah, that's deep crater. You can see the definition. So to me, the evidence is looking more and more like Marvin's upside down, guys. Unless anyone can debunk it, or without saying it's a projection, without saying it's a light, without saying, if we can stick to it being an actual object in space, we might get somewhere, guys. Flat earthers and ballers. But if you start making up stuff that you can't, like Rahu and stuff to explain, because how can you explain a lunar eclipse on a flat Earth? How can you explain a lunar eclipse on a flat Earth? Because something circular has to block the sunlight for the moon to move into the shadow. There has to be something floating in space. Something has to be happening. And guys, I'm not a genius. I'm not a genius at all. This is just what I'm looked at, what I'm gathering. I'm trying to share with you guys and hope that we can all solve this riddle we call flat Earth. Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful for some people. I'll have a look at chat, see how you're doing. See if anyone's freaking out yet. Right. Laura Gale, Ahoo, Frankie Max, Richard Clark, lol. Laurie Gale, cool, Robert. I should check that out. What's going on? Low gravity holding up. AJC, hi guys. Cheech, stratosphere. Richard Clark, hey AJ. Hemisphere. Jed, the Earth is hard. All right. God, there's not been much chat going on, eh? Right. Eli, Ohio. Jed, I've been shooting the moon for years. The channel's loaded with everything you need, bro. Thanks, man. The tomfoolery of the International Space Stage. I got to go take it easy. No problem, Tom. Take it easy, mate. And keep up the good videos as well. The Eli, Ohio, that's cool that you've got stuff, but what I really need is everywhere. South America, especially South America. South America and South Africa. We can get a few Australians in there, but it'd be cool if we could get some South Americans in there. And people like, even on the equator as well. It'd be cool to see the horn moons, or I've heard that maybe like an N as well. Like a moon like an N. Fake it till you make it, says Music Man. Frankie Max, Jed, I'm no going out at night. There's reptilians about. Ha ha ha. Flat Earth British. I did. I got a wicked film, Reptilian Overlord. Yes, Richard Clark. I watched the moon one night and it rotates clockwise, so the where's a crater is irrelevant. I'd like to see some of your stuff, Richard. Trackmatic, show us with the lamp. You never see a crescent moon at night in the heliocentric model. This is a fact. Both cups upside down, says Frankie Max. Reptilian brain, reptilian fact, brain dead, BS. Chode rock, chode shadows, proof curvature. Reptilian overlord. What keeps the sun in the cup? The sun is a cup, says Frankie Max. Schlominger, I don't know yet what causes the shadow. Frankie Max, the shadow is blood of the moon. Chode rock, Jed is a chode you can't see. Schmick Effie is dead, nothing but repeats, mirror and circle jerks. Trackmatic, it's not an object in space, it is not Rahu. You're listening to anyone, but you are promoting. Who are you promoting? I'm not promoting anyone, man. If you looked at the last videos, who was that said that? Trackmatic. If you looked at my last, go back 10 minutes, I was actually promoting Marvin Sans, who has about 8 subs, and Jan from Norway, who has about 30 subs or something, don't know. And Justin, who has 13 subs. Who am I promoting? I don't know. Not promoting myself. Well, I kind of am. Somebody has to do this. I don't see anyone else trying to do this, guys, within flat Earth or globe or concave. It's worth a try, people. Come on. Mark Sargent pushes his computer model theory because he is military and knows the moon is Achilles' heel. That's right, muscle car. And that's what I'm saying, because all the smartest flat Earth guys, like Mark Sargent, Bob, Journalism, Eric Dubay, they've all came across these questions that you're asking, but what about this, but what about that? They've came across those same questions, guys, no doubt. And they've got stuck. They've got stuck many times. They can't answer a lot of questions where the heliocentric, if we put all this stuff together, there's no point running to the government going, look what we've collected. They go, we know, we've told you this. This is how the moon works and the phases, and we've tried to tell you this in school. So, I don't know, guys. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Waste our time bitching. Robert Flores, I really get what you're saying, but why are all the craters not at angle? Surely the chance of all hitting straight is impossible. That's a good point, mate. That's a good point. JS, Mario, a slow motion lighthouse concept could explain phases and eclipses. A light source behind the moon. Delise, with flat Earth, all I need is water. Water proves it all. But that's what I'm saying. When you, if you can get the top brass flat earthers to agree that that is a 3D object in space, a solid rock, right? They might have to accept that there's gravity. Then they would have to accept that maybe water has been stuck to a ball like what we're looking at in space. Maybe. But then just to say it's a projection, or just to say it's some kind of crystal that's doing that's just been stuck in a dome or something like that. It's just an easy way out, guys. That's not what we observe. Just observe it. Stop watching YouTube and use your own observations. Richard Clark, Vinny, I saved it. We'll take a look at it later. Rock lover. Cool, Rich. It is a flat earth killer. Frankie Marks. Hormones. Yes, moon, cup, and blood. Richard Clark. We shall see, my friend. Cheech. Flat voice. No, good and all round voice is better. Star Gods. My brain hurts. Jan. Lol. It's the hair, Star Gods. Lol. Music Man. The moon is referred to as the faithful witness. Ponder a petri dish at the moment of in vitro fertilization, then visualize the moon. Well, that's what I said. I came out with the disc version, but the disc would become elliptical. If it traveled like that, you would see it in different angles. It would become like egg-shaped and stuff. So the disc thing, and that's why I used the disc thing, because I hear Bob using draw a smiley face on a piece of paper, on a round piece of paper, and walk around the room. He uses this all the time instead of saying, well, it's a 3D object in space. He doesn't like to say that. So, Jed, the sun is a lamp. Now it all makes sense. No, I was just using that as a light source. Not saying that's the sun. Trackmatic. I mean, flat Earth proponents. Reptilian overlord. There's some people called astronomers, I have heard. Water is always level. Cheech, great song. Observe and see blood fill in the cup, says Max. Trackmatic, there are no top brass flat earthers. That is tarring everyone with the same brush. I am top brass, says Frankie. Journalism is already selling a long-term flat earth plan. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, guys. I think that's why they're making quite a lot of these maps and stuff, because they want to sell them on like PDF form. They want to print them on T-shirts and stuff like that. But if we can debunk these charlatans before people embarrass themselves walking about with this junk on, because I think that's what they're going to try. They're going to try and make this map, and I think Antonio's going to try and make hoodies and stuff, red hoodies with the map on it, stuff like that. Schlominger. The more I shoot the moon, the more questions appear. The sharper my pictures, the more fake he seems to be. It's really strange. Richard Clark, Jed, for your experiment to be of any value, you need to pick a time in one time zone and go for there, and to have everyone go from that. Well, the thing is, we got a good one from Marvin Sans and Jan. It was the same date and same time. Same date, same time, just different parts of the world. Obviously, they weren't shooting it at the same time. But that's not the point. It's all observation. We're not trying to explain orbital mechanics or anything here, guys. We're not even trying to explain what the moon is made out of or why is it there. What we're trying to do here, guys, is observe the shadow, observe why the shadow's there, why it goes away, observe why in another country everything's flipped upside down and the other way around. This is all observation, guys. I'm not trying to make anyone bust their balls. It's just all observation. I don't need any fancy formulas or just a picture and a date and where you are in the world. That's all you really need to work this one out, guys. Anyway, not sure I've got much more to say, but I'm really appreciative all the footage that we've seen. I'll just share it again, actually. I'll share it again. Do them all justice and share their videos. This was Marvin again. Moon observation for GSM, Melbourne, Australia. See that? Date, time. That's what's good as well, that other people are doing this from the UK. This is Marvin Sans from Australia, but the people in the UK that are doing it, they've got better cameras than me, or better zoom than me. Some of these pictures are amazing. Amazing, guys. How could this be projecting its own light? Come on, that's obvious. That's an object being lit up by the sun. That's a 3D object in space being lit up by the sun. Am I sharing this again, or am I fucking... See? Aye. There's obviously atmospheric like distortion. You can see that. So the wave, I think that's what that lunar wave thing was. It was just like atmospherics. You've got miles and miles of like liquid in front of you. That was a nice one, Marvin. Nice one, son. Try to get a nice clear one of this one. It was at the beginning, I had quite a good one. It's a nice shot. See that, you could just imagine that this is like an eye, like the eye socket of a skull. You can see the shape. See these main craters at the bottom as well. And when you look in Australia, these main craters are there at the top. And that eye from the skeleton is up. It's upside down now. It's got those two craters above the eye as well. You see the two craters. We're seeing the exact same faces. We see the exact same details. That it looks the same size, the moon. Why isn't the moon setting or disappearing into a tiny little ball in the distance if it's like this? So this is another thing, that the sunsets are a biggie, like, as well, guys. And this is why you even heard Dell from Beyond the Imaginary Curve talking about two suns. We've heard Laurie and Lawrence talking about the Pac-Man, which they think once the sun sets behind this, another one reappears. Another one reappears suddenly. But it doesn't. It's because it's a ball and it goes round. The ball spins round. This doesn't happen. This is why Dell was too scared to stick with a model as well. This is why they can't get a working model, because nothing works. Nothing works. And the sun doesn't shrink. The sun doesn't shrink. I've watched the sun through solar lenses. I've watched the sun through welder's goggles. The suns look small at times and bigger at other times. So that's seasons, I suppose. In the summer, the sun could be a tiny fraction smaller than it is in the winter. But these are big ones, guys. But you don't want to watch them. Like, just imagine this is the sun setting. Everyone would be in blackness. Everyone would be in darkness. So I know what you're going to say. The sun spins around at the top. The sun goes around like that. Well, if the sun goes around like that, why doesn't it get bigger and smaller? Why doesn't it disappear into the perspective? These are a few things we need to address, guys. Come on, we can't bury our heads in the sand with this stuff. Anyway, guys, this is 2 a.m. I just want to thank everyone for joining me again. I want to thank Marvin Sans, Jan, and Justin for their footage. It's been brilliant. Already in my mind, it's kind of conclusive for me. Just looking at Marvin Sans stuff, especially. I look at Jan's stuff and you can see the shadows a bit different. It's a bit more tilted. But that's because she's a wee bit further over the earth than I am. She's seen it from a wee bit a different angle. So it's crazy, and I hope this encourages people to apply the same thought patterns and critical thinking to this, and not avoid it like the top brass in flat Earth. But they'll just avoid it. They'll just make up stuff like Rahu or projections or light. Once everybody can understand that this is a solid object we're looking at. It's a solid object. There's no doubt. Like I said, God knows how it's held up there. Maybe gravity, but then this is another thing that they'll just say it's just made up. It's just a theory, and but then we've got all these other questions about the moon, especially when you look at my perspective, Marvin. It's the same size. It's the same size moon. It doesn't change. It's the same face. It's the same details. Like Marvin's not seen the back side of it or anything like that. It's and it's not getting bigger and smaller as it goes away. Or so we just need to chip in, guys, and do our independent research. Not look at any NASA stuff and not look at any top brass shillery, and just do our own observations and collect our own data and put it all together and compare it and form hypotheses, and then say, guys, I think we're maybe wasting our time with this. Maybe we should be enjoying what's on the Earth. No. Because now I'm looking at the moon and everything with wonder again. Flat Earth done well to try and kill all these things, like sci-fi films try to program you, and the sun and the sun and the stars and the moons are just projections on a dome and stuff like that. And these kind of things are the things that knock out your wonder, take your wonder away, because they're not real anymore. They're just nothing. It's nice to know that we can't get to space and we're still wondering what these things are. But just to dismiss what we see in the sky is absurd from the flat Earth, and to try and generalize it as a projection and crap like that, it's just shillery. And to say the moon's a disk or a light or a projection or any mumbo jumbo like that, you can see we've all got the technology, guys. We've all got the cameras now to see, and we're not stupid. We can look at. There's so much data we can analyze now, guys, outside of flat Earth and the general science. Anyway, I'll have a quick look at chat. Hope you're doing all right. It's just been bothering me this year, guys. It's really, you look at things and you want to just look away and forget, but it bugs you. You sit there and go, oh, why is Marvin seen this, and why is is he upside down? Well, that's how I managed to get the same view as Marvin with the same shadow. I stuck it on the ceiling. I looked at one face was shaded, And I was like, fair enough. How do I get the same shade as Marvin? Well, I just went on the other side of the ball and the shade, and it was working the same, but all the details on the moon had changed. So it wasn't what me and Marvin were seeing. What I'd done, all I had to do was turn my head upside down to get the same perspective as Marvin. I didn't have to walk across the plane. I just had to turn my head upside down because he's upside down. That's how it just like the penny dropped, guys. I was like, oh my God. It's not till you start properly looking at the moon, the details on the moon. It starts correlating. You're like, oh, why is that crater there and that one's up then? So I think you need to put more effort into looking at the moon, guys. Anyway, a quick look at chat before I go. This is just a wee quickie, and this is just a wee monologue, Glenn, if you're out there, not a dialogue. This is just a quick way for me to share videos without having to do fancy editing. I just get myself in trouble with editing anyway. I get copyright strikes because I like to put music in that, stuff like that. Right. Frankie Max, Jed, Mark Sargent is a handler. A handler of who? Frankie? A handler of who? Who does he handle? If he's a handler. Cheech, smart at making money from nonsense. Richard Clark, Ohio, lol. Frankie Max, when you put Pat and Mark together, you get Park Life. Muscle Car Rock Lover, ask every top flat earther, including you, Martin, to debunk David Rudland's animation and zero feedback. Frankie Max, all the people, so many people. Robert Forrest, okay, I'm South American Scot. I'll do it when I get my phone back. Are you South American? Yes. We need images, Robert. We need images, Robert. Cheech, a Park Life. Delight, Ohio. So it clicks for you now too, Richard. Delise, water is level always. Cheech, great song. Frankie Max, observe and see blood fill in the cup. Jesus. Is he repeating is the chat just not moving? Event skeptics in the house. Ryan Alves is also here. He's saying no. Laurie Gale says, I think the guy that made the Tudors is making this. Cheech, Ike was tripping when V was on TV in the UK. Space-time continuum. Cheech V was the shit. Jan, lol, Cheech. Event skeptic, haha. Jan, I bet he did. Richard Clark, he will get a swollen head. He loves that Tracy, makes videos about him. Who's Tracy? Is that Mark's girlfriend? Laurie Gale says, Jed can take the minions. Vince doesn't bother him. Cheech, he's on the ball about politics, but his fantasy stuff, is that fantasy? Event skeptic, have a good night, y'all. JS Mario, could the upside down be from refraction? Like a mirage. Interesting, but not every night. The exact same. Andrade, thumbs up. Robert Forrest, Laurie is the big hero of it. Utrecht. Richard Clark, God bless Ronnie. Turquoise Dragon, you have become a lunatic, Jed. It's a good thing, man. Muscle Car Rock Lover, we have his back, Laurie. Dave Little, he's other side equator. Cheech, it's what he perceives the world to be. Eli, Ohio, here I am at Jed's chats. I spent thousands on a quantum and Jed shows margin stuff. I'm hurt. Sorry, man. God's sake. I know I've ruffled a few feathers this year, but it's time to start cutting out the shit, guys. I'm sick of watching these hangouts with people sitting around, show me your claim. Well, I'd like to see more observable evidence. Not proof. We all know that we can't prove everything. Just some things we just can't prove. But to sleep at night, it's nice to have a nice gathering of evidence. And I know, like most of my closest YouTube friends, should we say, are flat earthers, guys. So I know what I say is going to ruffle their feathers a bit, and they'll not be happy. But that's what friends do. Ken. They don't say nothing when you've got a bogey hanging at your nose. They'll tell you when there's a bogey hanging out your nose, so you don't make a fool of yourself. And that's what friends are meant to be for. And I'm kind of looking out for my friends at the same time. It maybe annoys them that I pointed something out or something that annoys them, but the way I see it is it's for me as well. But I just like to share it with the people I like on YouTube. If the people that don't like me, well, they won't listen to me anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I don't care if I lose subs over it, because the people I keep will be on the journey with me. I know that. And already, I just mentioned the moon stuff. And like I said, I'm not wanting 24-hour moon tracking nonsense. I want people just to be honest, take photos of their moons, tell me what the date was, where they are. We could definitely do with southern hemisphere footage. I definitely want some southern hemisphere stuff. And equatorial. But I find, because I've got quite a small sort of group of people, we're all kind of either North America or the UK or Europe. It's hard to get. I've got a couple of Aussies. They're valuable. Those Aussies I've got are valuable. Because they're upside down. Right. Richard Clark, bye Ryan. Robert Forrest, me, South American, you ball bag. I'm from Glasgow, but I live in South America. Well, Robert, get some footage up, and I'll use it, and we'll look at it. We'll look at it together. What show, Laurie? The Vikings, says Laurie. Richard Clark, you will play you Glenda eating Pac-Man game tomorrow. Laura Gale, you're not annoying me, Jed. Richard Clark, get out, Laurie. Robert Forrest, yes, read The Kingdom. Ragnar is in it, but dies. Laurie Gale, yes, Richard, Ragnar is gone. I think that was a spoiler there. Cheech, people from Glasgow to say that, buddy. Delise, so long as you're honest, Jed, it's good to question flat Earth, and the way you do it is needed. Thanks a lot, Delise. You need a devil's advocate. Or these people just run riot. They'll just run riot. Imagine if no one pulled them up about the drinking the piss. Imagine if no one pulled them up about the destruction of religion, practically, and the pushing of New Age. There's no doubt there was a lot of New Age ideology creeping into the flat Earth. It's still there. It's still there. I watch certain characters and they're still piping on about the ether and stuff like that. And that's the kind of thing I do agree with Dell. Like, when it comes to observable evidence, when you talk about the ether, I just don't get it. I don't get it. But with the moon, that's observable, guys, and it's evidence. It's maybe not proof we live on a globe. It's maybe not proof we live on a flat Earth, but it's evidence, guys. It's evidence we can't ignore. And by just saying it's a projection, disc, light, computer game, and not a 3D object, if they don't say it's a 3D object in space, they're being shills, because it's a 3D object in space, and then they have to explain that, and that's going to take them. That'll take them a whole season. That's why they'd rather just say Rahu, Ragu, the spaghetti monster. You mix the Rahu in with the spaghetti and you get the spaghetti monster. Laurie, what season of Vikings? Robert Forrest, aye, right, ha ha ha. Cheech is not from Glasgow. He says, Bob, I'm Rab, Fanny. Laurie Gale says, but I am open to listening to all evidence. That's good. That's good. That's good. Chant for Laurie, Jed. That was the beginning of the Estonian national anthem. That was for Martin Leakey, because I've got a couple of Estonian friends, and we went to a pool hall one night. And I thought I'd impress them by reciting the the Estonian national anthem, but just the beginning of it. It's not the full anthem because the Estonian language is actually really hard. I thought it was like Eastern European, but it's more like it's more Scandinavian than anything. They've got like triple O's in their words. Crazy. Air sweetheart. Lol at piss isn't for drinking. Cheech. Bob. Delise. Yeah, it's season 4, Richard. Laurie Gale. He should, Vince. Robert Forrest. Lol. Bob. Fat. Fee. Willie. Jay. Jeranism has said Flat Earth will take years to prove. He's selling a long-term goal. Yep. If he's saying that outright, he's saying you're in with me for the long haul, guys. So give me your money. Wow, I've been saving jars of piss. Now you guys tell me. It was brilliant, Laurie, says Muscle Car Rock Lover. Cheech, I used to live in Brighton. Richard Clark, season 4. Okay, we'll tell the wife. Robert Forrest, I'm for the south side, Cheech, although originally from the Carlton. Richard Clark, she will cry. She loves him more than me, I think. Laurie Gale, we loved hearing that, Jet. Cheech, nice. Ohio, write Pat's Morning Dew on it and sell it on eBay too. That was pretty cool. The Lie Ohio, lol. Robert Forrest. It's clops to finish. Lol, slow. Right, I'll sing that national anthem again for you guys, even though Martin's not in the house, but I'll sing it. It's Mu is sama meun jarum ki unes olegsa ki kunas olegsa. Sorry. Got it wrong there. Martin should correct me. Is that a new age chant? We should make that the new age chant. Close your ears, it's a spell. Laurie Gale, yeah. Interesting thing I found out about Estonia as well. They had Vikings. The Estonians had Vikings. They were actually on the Nazis' side during the war. Estonians they had their own Nazi party, interestingly enough. They were fighting for Hitler and the Germans. A lot of the Scandinavian countries were neutral, but Estonia, actually, they were Nazis. They had their own Nazi party. Is that Klingon? Says Reptilian Overlord. It's Estonian. Mu sama muun jarum ki kunas olegsa. There we go. That's better. I've not said it in a while. I've not said it since the other night there. Next time, wear a kilt. The most you'll get a kilt with me is I'll wear my tartan shirt. Lol. Ooh la la. Space-time continuum. Martin Leakey threw his toys out the pram based on some comments I made. He can't take any criticism. Delicate flower that he is. Laurie Gale, nice. Robert Forrest, Talon is really beautiful during the winter. Yes, I've got a wee fridge magnet. It's got some, like, I think it's amber. I got it sent from Estonia. And it's like loads of bits of amber stuck in a fridge magnet. And Tallinn is the capital city of Estonia. It's a really small country, actually. The Eli Ohio. Now he double spelled us. Wow. Cheech, a few did. Brits fought for Hitler. Americans. Jan, Black Snow. Eli Ohio. I feel funny. Take it off, Jed. Take the spell off. Reptilian Overlord. He'll kick you with his shiny shoes. Yep, Ohio, we done in for now. Romanians, Slovaks, says Cheech. Laurie Gale, we are a Jed cult now. Lol. Cheech, Croatia, Delise, lol. Right, guys, it's been a good night. I've enjoyed it. But I just thought I'd share those videos with you because they guys made the effort to get that footage. So it was a pleasure to share it. And it was interesting to see the perspective of the moon from the southern hemisphere as well. They should really get people thinking. They should really get a couple of spheres out, a light. Don't have to make a video. They can just do it just to prove to themselves. And lunar eclipses, remember, guys, is nothing to do with phases. When you see the shadow on the moon, that's not the Earth's shadow. So don't be alarmed when you see the Earth the moon during the day, because the shadow that's on the moon during the day is not the Earth's shadow; it's the sun's light. It's nothing to do with the. But anyway, I didn't want to go through all that again because I've been through so many comments and it's just the same stuff over and over again, man. I just hope I've explained myself all right tonight. But like I said, it's late, it's 2:45, and I hope you have a good rest of your night or day or wherever you are. And thanks for joining me. And I'll be back, no doubt, with more moon stuff, because each will look at the whole phase. It's going into, it was a C before, and now it's turning into the sort of D stage. And then we'll try and get the full moon. We'll try and get right up to the full moon, guys. Right? Anyway, thanks for coming. Hope you have a good night. Take care.